name is Mensah-Kutin. I work with an organization called ABantu for Development. ABantu for Development is a women's rights and policy advocacy organization that works in the West Africa sub-region. We have a country office in Kaduna, Nigeria, and then the main office is in Accra, Ghana. We work mainly on issues of governance and also on climate change, and on this occasion we are very happy to be part of this celebration. I happen to be the head of ABantu for Development, and as head of the organization, my responsibility is to provide conceptual leadership about the thematic areas that we work in. When it comes to issues of development, you have to think about how the planning process goes and how you are able to ensure that whatever issues are being discussed, whether at the international level, the Africa regional level, or even at the national level, you want to make sure that ordinary citizens who live in the communities of the country are actually brought into speed about the issues that are being discussed, so that they themselves can internalize those issues and become their own agents of change at the local level. So as an organization, we usually zero in on the gender dimensions of policies. So the main question we are interested in responding to is, to what extent are we empowering marginalized groups to understand the issues and to take responsibility on the ground? And then the other question we like to respond to is, to what extent are the policies that we are focusing on being responsive to the needs and concerns of women, men, boys and girls? But as I've already said, it's usually zeroing in on the most marginalized. And so what we do is we work at all levels. So you are likely to find us today maybe in Tepa, in the Hafwano district. The next day you are likely to find us in New York attending a major international conference, and so on. And many of the discussions that go on at the national level here, particularly in relation to issues of climate change, disaster risk management, women's rights, you are likely to find us as actively as possible in terms of our engagement. If you take the Environmental Protection Agency, if you take the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, we CSOs have actively worked with these institutions to kind of highlight the implications of the things we sign on to at the level of the UNFCCC, those mandates and conventions we sign on to, how they become domesticated at the national level. So civil society organizations have mainly worked regarding issues of policy regarding the national level, and also making sure that the international things we go to conferences and sign on to are domesticated. So for instance, regarding the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, the different elements, which of course includes disaster risk management, have been captured in a national climate change policy. And when that process started, the role civil society played was to work with institutions like the National Disaster Management Organization to ensure that they also took an interest and also worked with relevant organizations to build capacity on the issues. So my organization specifically worked with NADMO in the period of 2007 up to 2010 in developing a framework and a strategy on the gender aspects of disaster risk management. And when we had done that, we were given the responsibility of going around the country from the district level to the national level, training disaster risk managers. So when you talk about disaster risk managers, it includes nurses, fire service people, a range of actors at the community level, also at the regional level, for them to understand what we mean when we talk about disaster risk management and also the gender implications. So that was a major task that we had to play. And once we did that, going down to the communities, once we did that, we strengthened our own capacity and knowledge. And therefore, when we went to meetings at MESTI or EPA, we came with a knowledge from the ground, and therefore we became much more relevant. And so, based on that experience, when it came to developing the national climate change policy, we were again given the responsibility of looking at the gender issues involved. So I want to believe that when you demonstrate capacity and you exhibit professionalism, you are even acknowledged in policy formulation. And this is really the experience of civil societies on the ground. Representatives of disaster management organizations in the West Africa sub-region met in Dakar, Senegal, to look at ways in which disaster risk management policies in the region could be synchronized and made gender responsive. We happened to be part of that meeting. And so there is a document right now, a regional document that provides guidelines for individual countries in the sub-region to address disaster risk issues from a gender perspective. Since we were part of it, we have demonstrated interest in working with NADMO to ensure that there is implementation. The COVID-19 is showing us that disasters are now part of us, and that it could be a health issue, it could be something else, but disasters are now going to be part of us because of, first and foremost, the climate change challenge that we face. And then now we have these health pandemics, which we are being told will continue for some time. So I think that we need to build in. At that time, we didn't know COVID-19 was coming. So we need to pick that document and see how we can factor in emerging issues, especially those around COVID-19, and start the process of implementation. I think that NADMO is a strong organization. It believes in bringing in partners and stakeholders to be able to work effectively. And I want to believe that this experience of COVID-19 will propel us to move forward on implementation. Related to that also is the issue of budgets. I think implementation is also about budgetary allocations. And for now, I know that much of the work NADMO has done in the past has been supported by the multilateral and bilateral agencies. But this is the time, given the way in which the state has taken an interest in safeguarding the livelihoods of us as citizens and also our role as women, we need to really provide the financial outlay to facilitate the process of implementation and not leave it to the multilaterals and the bilaterals to provide that kind of support. So on this occasion of the celebration of International Day of Disaster Risk Management, I wish to congratulate NADMO and all stakeholders and partners who have taken an interest in this issue. Let us work together to ensure that we do not even experience disasters, and that even when disasters occur, we will remember that we do not experience disasters equally, that there are differences, there are similarities, and always we must remember women, the vulnerable, and persons who are least likely to be able on their own to address issues of disaster. you.